We are with Ruben Khachatryan. You are the Director General of the Yerevan Zoo. That's right. And you're also the founder of the Foundation for Wildlife Preservation and Cultural Assets. I just want to say that this is the first time in 13 years that I've been to the Yerevan Zoo. So I'm very excited. And thank you for taking the time. I know you're very, very busy to show us the zoo and talk about what you're doing. When did you sort of take over the reins of this position at the zoo? When did you start here?
Actually, becoming kind of responsible for animals, not as a zoo director, but as a citizen of which wants to take care of animals. It was started in 1995. When there was a hippodrome near our house and horses were struggling from hunger. It was that very hard times for Armenia when the people were struggling for their daily life. There was war still. There were no electricity even. You remember maybe these times? I don't know.
I wasn't here, but I certainly know. I've heard.
Yeah, it was very hard time, so people forgot about horses. Yeah, actually, because there were lots of other issues.
There was a lot of human misery, so animals were...
Exactly. So I started to gather some vegetables from markets with our friends together, with my friends together, and we took...
You were just a young man at the time, I'm assuming.
Like,
how old were you?
17,
18, yeah.
17 years old. And I made my first movie, my first documentary about horses standing there, and it was silent movie, like 7 minutes long, which was just emotions about how horses are feeling themselves. So, and it raised really attention to hippodrome, and some friends or even governmental bodies, like even we reached the film to the minister, and he made a decision to help give more support funding to hippodrome, and some of the horses survived. So
that was the beginning of, or did you always love animals as a kid?
No, as a kid it wasn't that like specific something. Yeah, it was normal as other kids. I never dreamed to become a zoo director. I'm always saying that.
Yeah, I mean, when they ask you what do you want to be when you grow up, I don't know how many people would say, you know, being a zoo director. But there you go.
They are dreaming of it.
Yeah. Oh, is that right?
My colleague, for example, and my best friend, Haik Balyan, who is the director of Amsterdam Zoo.
Okay.
He was dreaming as a kid to become a zoo director, and he became.
The more you live, the more you learn. Yeah.
But so my real passion started for nature and wildlife started when we started a project making a documentary series about Armenian wildlife.
Because you are fundamentally a filmmaker. First,
yeah.
Or
you know, in cinema we are saying you never can become a film director.
Okay.
You are a film director or you are not.
It's funny, you know, because people say that about certain professions. You know, we had interviewed an Egyptologist a couple of months ago, and he said, "You are either born an Egyptologist or you're not."
Yeah,
so, so I guess you had that.
In cinema, it's a very famous word. So, yeah. So you're born a filmmaker. Or
so you were a born filmmaker.
Become a filmmaker. Yeah.
So I should not hope to become a filmmaker then. Probably not. It's too late.
It should be in your genes. Yeah, so if there is something in your genes to really it says you should have some sincere of reality, the way how you realize how you really see the reality. And we started to make movies to tell the people what we have and why it's so important to protect, because Armenia is very unique in its biodiversity.
Yes, can you just, you know, very briefly, because I've heard this oftentimes too, that Armenia, with its size being so tiny, Yet we have such a huge diversity in even, you know, people come from all over the world for bird watching. They say we have many different species of birds. So again, the biodiversity. Can you explain a little bit about all of that?
It's a very tiny country, although if you compare with other countries, like in 1 square kilometer, there are 100 times more species, animals, fauna and flora together, that you can, you know that Armenia is one of the 34, there are all in all 34 biodiversity hotspots in the world.
I didn't know that.
And it's recognized in the world as one of the richest biodiversity. So Armenia is an epicenter of South Caucasus, which is one of the biodiversity hotspots in the world. It's very much depending on climate zones, because Armenia has different climate zones. And the density of species.
It's incredible, yeah.
Incredibly rich. And
we don't appreciate it oftentimes. So
actually, unfortunately not. But for example, very few people knows that let's say the homeland for bred species like are in Armenia. It's in Armenia. There are 3 types of wild, and these wild species actually are the gene fund, the gene pool, let's say. Which is the most exciting and most valuable thing in the world now, because all big corporations now running behind, because in future there, you know that the most problem in the world will be the food
shortage. Sure.
Yeah, and this gene pool is actually the most valuable thing that we have. Yeah, and we are not realizing that.
It's incredible. There's so much we don't know, and it's right
under our nose. We are running now for let's say very short-term solutions, like for example mining industry.
But isn't that always? I mean, in every sector we seem to be doing that. We're not thinking long term. We're not thinking about what we are going to be bequeathing to our children and grandchildren. It's about today. You know, I had this conversation the other day with a friend. He's saying, you know, mining in Armenia is something that we cannot avoid. It's a small country with very limited resources, and we have to utilize them. But then I wonder, when we are ravaging the land today, what do we leave for future generations?
Yeah, actually it's very simple calculation. If we can calculate like what profit we could have from tourism, for example.
Ecotourism, which is something people are talking about.
General tourism.
Okay.
Comparison to mining industry, then you will see that we have much more profit as a country as a whole.
Have there been studies done, I mean, to prove that?
Yes, of course. American University here made this study.
The Turpanjan Center.
And it's very, I mean, it's very simple. But the thing is that one of the major problems, I think, in Armenia, that we don't have this like general approach about Armenia, about the country's future. So there are some individuals that, and this is why these short-term solutions are more common here, maybe. But I do hope that with the generations, with new generations, there will be another approach, and we are working on this issue because.
Please talk to me a bit about the education programs that you're running, because I think that most of the problems in Armenia, not all of them, but most of the problems in Armenia come because of lack of awareness, lack of education. So what is it that you're doing at the zoo, or through, if we can talk a bit about Sunchild that you also registered?
Yeah. So it's very connected with the movies again, because after we saw that we are a little bit late with our message to showing the people what we have and why we need to protect, we understood that we need something to more like tangible. We should act now, because otherwise we can lose already lots of things. And we started education project. And I'm really very happy that we found Ralph Yerevan, who really believed in us. and he supported to open eco clubs in different remote regions of Armenia. And these eco clubs worked for free for kids. In each eco club there were 50 kids studying ecology, filmmaking, photography, and these let's say tools or toys, yeah, for kids were very exciting to in a new way to discover their environment,
right.
To see the things that they never saw before, like for example garbage issue or water pollution, or the beauty of their nature, their surroundings.
Respecting it, appreciating it, preserving it, all of these things that they're not being taught.
Exactly, and in very deeper sense, we open their, let's say, windows to get the love for their country. Yeah, because if there is no love, there is no this passion, you cannot talk about protection of nature or wildlife or other issues.
And this has been a very, very serious and critical issue in our country that we talk about often, is that hemorrhage we have of young people leaving to study abroad and not coming back. Tell me a little bit about what you've done with the Yerevan Zoo. You told me when we were walking earlier that it was created in 1941 during the Second World War, and it was completed in 1946. And I imagine, you know, in those years, not only in Yerevan, most zoos in the world kept animals in cages, and I assume that's what it was, how it was here. When you took over, what was the condition, and what is your vision today for the zoo?
Actually, we worked already like more than 10 years for wildlife. So we were organizing expeditions for 1 month, 2 months to just find one mouflon, for example, in wildlife. Or till now we are trying to film jaguar, although last week we filmed only the tail, one of the trap cameras that we put on our buffer zone.
Which is where?
Which is near the Khosrow. So we have now a conservation project, which is
through your organization that you founded, FWPC.
Yeah. FPWC, yeah. And we took more than 2,000 hectares under our protection. And since 3-4 years, there were no even one gunshot there. So it's a very safe place for wild animals.
So you're keeping hunters at bay, basically. You're not letting them...
Not only hunters, but also for grazing. It's not allowed, the area. There is no agricultural actions there or any other. So it's purely for conservation. And because it's so quiet and animals are replicated there, yeah, so leopard came back. Came back, and we just last week we have one shootage of 20 seconds, but leopard shows only the tail.
But I can tell from your eyes the excitement, and you only have 20 seconds.
We were waiting for it like
for a long time
already. Yeah. So it's very a good sign for whole Armenia that really we have still leopards, and
we have the beautiful swans here visiting with us as we're speaking.
And so why we came to the zoo. So the first idea was that we are doing so many things in terms of environmental education. We have this Sunchild Festival, which is the only environmental festival in the whole South Caucasus region, which shows not only movies but also organizing seminars, workshops, exhibitions, and have also parallel children's section, which is very important because thousands of youth are involved in many events we are organizing in frame of Sunchild Festival. These eco clubs, now we have a green school project. Green school, yeah. It's broader than just eco club. We are taking the whole school and the overall, let's say, approach about paper recycling, plastic pet gathering. It's a competition among the schools, and the best school becoming a green school certificate. And,
isn't that wonderful? So it's not only about telling these children or trying to educate them, you're actually getting them involved in the process, because we also earlier saw that you had built different animals from bottles that would have been, you know, put in some garbage dump somewhere in the country or just outside of Yerevan. And so you're utilizing programs and innovative projects so these kids learn.
Because mostly I'm coming from the art world or culture world. I'm trying to, because culture for me is something which brings, it's like a bridge to bring people to the issue more close up way, because if you you know, in working with camera, if you zoom in, you can see the things more detailed. Right. Yeah, and it's not only the technique that you can zoom in, but it's also the emotional, yeah, approach that you bring people more close to the issues, that they can feel it, not only understand, but they can feel it. So it's for me, it's a way to bring the things close, so much close to the people that they can start to feel with their nerves, even with their skin, yeah. And that's why it's also the same mechanism that we created. We give the possibility for the children to make their own movies, to make their own photos, and that it's their own issue, yeah. And this message from children to children is much easier than if, for example, a teacher can explain to a kid why it is not good.
It's more powerful and more lasting.
It's very direct and very not this, let's say, Soviet-style way, which I hate.
Yeah, which we're all trying to, you know, eradicate, not always successfully.
Because, yeah. We thought that zoo can actually serve for us as a stage, as a more larger scale, a stage where we can educate the whole public, which is coming to the zoo, and they are coming around 300,000 people in a year.
I was going to ask you, 300,000 visitors on an annual basis.
Year, yeah.
You have a program where I could actually adopt an animal.
Yes.
So I want now, if we could, to go and look at some of those, because I know Arsine Khanjian, the actress, has adopted a mouflon, and she's talked to us about this mouflon for 2 years, and I've promised that I must see it. And another filmmaker, Osman Kavala, I think, has just adopted a turtle.
Armenian tortoise.
And another German filmmaker has adopted one of your owls. So what's the philosophy or the idea behind getting not only famous people, but I could actually adopt one too if I wanted, yes?
Actually, we didn't create a bicycle. So the project as itself exists in all zoos in the world. So we just try to adapt it here also in our zoo, because it's a very nice possibility for people come close to the animals, yeah, and be a part of their taking care, for example, or being part of zoo problem in itself, yeah, because actually the concept of the zoo in a modern world, yeah, is it's a sensitive issue.
Yeah, of course.
Because from one side we need the zoo for education, but we need a zoo which really serve better place, better home for animals than the wildlife in some cases.
In some cases.
In some cases.
Certainly.
The main problem in Armenia that we still didn't know our wildlife. We don't really value our wildlife, and zoo can serve for this. And
I can see that it is today.
We are still in our, let's say, first stage. We didn't we couldn't still be proud what we achieved till now. But it's 2 years that I became a zoo director. Of course, there are lots of changes, new places, new enclosures already.
Yeah, we saw how you had created that special enclosure that's natural, the habitat for turtles, and we saw them frolicking about with their little baby.
But one of best achievements for us is that we became a part of EASA, which is it's a European Association of Zoos and Aquariums.
Okay.
We are a member of candidacy, which means that we should keep all regulations and standards for animal keeping, animal husbandry, although this opens for us new possibilities for cooperation. For example, we start to cooperate with Tbilisi Zoo, which is also a member of EASA, a member of candidacy for EASA. And we give, or we just donate animals to each other. So we are not exchanging, or we are not selling or buying, which is prohibited in EASA, and which is also a very good thing, because zoo cannot serve a place for a business for animals. So in last decades, lots of villagers, just for small money, $30, $40, they brought vultures, which are really at the edge of extinction in Armenia, like black vulture or birded vulture, or other animals or species, for very few money, and then the zoo send them to other zoos with 5,000 euros. So it's not a place for business.
There's too much gray area, and you have to be very careful.
And I'm happy that now we stop it, and we can really show the people also that, because you know, Armenia is a very small country. Everybody knows each other, and there are lots of very
that's always our problem.
People like, I'm not saying oligarchs, but people who they think they can allow themselves to have animals, wild animals.
This culture, I don't understand.
Even to buy like
a lion, bear.
Lion is still okay. But there are animals which are really like you can count them on your hands, just a few in the world, and they can allow themselves to buy it from wildlife, and they know that this animal brought from wildlife.
And do they even know how to take care of it properly, feed it the right food?
Exactly, and there are no specialists for that. So zoo should serve for this as an example, to be example that there is another way to share the animals, for example, and you are not allowed to take from wildlife, because it's really, if you take them, you cannot return them back. It's very hard. It's a huge problem.
You leave a big gaping hole in that whole chain.
Yeah, for example, the bears. The bear issue is very big now, and because there is no really regulation in Armenia that we should. There are restaurants, there are gas stations, there are private people who just keeping small cats. They are funny. In 3-4 months they are becoming already dangerous. And when a bear is used to take food from human being, then you can never bring him back to nature. He cannot survive, and it can be dangerous also. So it's a big issue. Now we have more than 100 bears living just in small cages
in Armenia,
small restaurants or gas stations or private.
Could that not be regulated somehow by the government to say that?
Even if there will be law enforcement, and the responsible body, governmental body, will take the bears. They have no place to. There are some projects we have in mind, of course, that we want to create like a big
preserve or something.
Exactly, like a sanctuary for bears, and our zoo is big enough to serve for that.
Yeah, because you have 35 hectares apparently.
And we can at least give a shelter for these bears. Here. So zoo can really serve for
many functions.
But first of all, it's education. It's education for young generation, for students, for school children. And in many zoos in the world, they connect also their curricula with the schools. And the zoology lesson, the practical part can be done in the zoo. So we are trying really to go into that direction.
Well, I think it's fantastic.
And later on, of
idea.
course, our dream will be to have here a college which can serve for environmental studies.
Well, Ruben, you know, with all the people that we've interviewed for this program, and common thread, common theme in everybody is that you have a dream, a vision, and you have a tunnel vision, and you say, this is what I'm going to do, and you achieve it. So I think it's amazing, and now I would really like to visit your animals, if
Please.
we may.
Please.
Thank you. Esmega.